Hi everybody, and welcome to this Christmas special. And here I was thinking of drawing a Christmas man, Santa. But then I wanted to draw that beard. I wanted to draw beards anyway, so I thought, why not Santa? But make the beard go into a landscape. And in that way creating a very Christmassy drawing. Now what I've chosen is a Canson grey pastel paper, but first I wanted to put in a layer of pigments, and what I'm using here is it's a range of earth colors made by Rembrandt. That's the brand Rembrandt. And I wanted to put in the pigments from dark from the top to lighter and lighter to the bottom of my drawing. You can see the colors on the right side, and I'm putting in a rather thick layer of pigments, going from dark to light, and in that way I'm already creating a background and an atmospheric perspective. Now, as you can see, there is a lot of grain from the paper. So I'm taking a cloth and I rub in the pigments into the paper. Then I put in a second layer of pigments. And then I rub this in with a Pastel palette knife. In that way, I get rid of most of the grainy structure, and it just shines through a little bit. Now it's time for the setup. For the setup, I'm simply using a white pastel pencil, and the actual drawing took me 2.5 hours. I've recorded this live on my Patreon page. So if you want to see me draw and talk at the same time, please feel free to visit me and support me on my Patreon page. Here I am creating the setup, so you can see the head of Santa, his face, and then there will be that part of the beard. The beard will shift over to the landscape that we will create also. And I've chosen this range of colors to start coloring in the face of Santa. It's a dark purple, a dark pink, a light pink, a little bit of soft yellow, and gray. Now, Santa, of course, lives on the South Pole. And, well, he's a fictional figure, of course, so nobody really knows what Santa looks like. I am imagining that Santa has a lot of wrinkles in his face because of the cold atmosphere where he is living in. He has quite a big nose, I think. And, his face is of course wrinkly, but is also very friendly. So that is what I'm trying to create. A lot of wrinkles, but also a lot of friendliness and warmth. The face of Santa is trois quarts, so 1/3 and 2/3. So the left eye is a little bit bigger than the right eye, and the right eye is just coming from behind the nose bridge. I keep filling in the face with all kinds of pigments, and I'm using simply the white, the light pink, and here is the dark purple, And the dark purple is very perfect for creating the shadows in Santa's face. The pigments of the earth pigments that are in the background, which we have put in the first stage, they blend together perfectly with the colors that I'm using. There are just a few colors that I'm using, and they are not conventional flesh colors. But still, I think they do the trick for me, because the dark purple is a perfect shadowy color, and it also makes the white of the fur of the hat of Santa, but also the beard hair, which are very white indeed. They pop out even better by using that dark purple. The white pastel pencil I also use a little bit as a blender, and I also want to put in those white hairs of the brows of Santa. So the brow hair are partially covering his eyes. Now, of course, from underneath the nose, a mustache grows, and you can hardly see the mouth. So I'm simply kind of creating the upper lip, and then the lower lip is covered all in hair. And so, well, I must say honestly, I have never ever drawn a beard in my life. So how to do that? Well, I was imagining that Santa is in the cold air and the hairs of his beard are flowing around. So I wanted to draw a beard that has a lot of action in it. The underlayer is already there, so I'm simply now using my white pastel pencil to create some whimsical lines, and I'm just drawing from imagination. So I looked up some beards, by the way. I looked up at the Google images, and I looked up all kinds of beards, and well, here I'm simply drawing from my guts, if you want. Drawing from imagination can bring you a lot of joy. Here you can see how the dark colors stand out next to the white hairs of Santa. By using the dark purple, the hairs in the beard appear to be a little bit more silvery, like that silvery white that the gray people have, that can be so very beautiful. Here I'm putting in a little bit of red and see what that does for me. Santa's coat is red, of course, but this is also in the part where there's a lot of shadow, so I'm not sure yet, but I'll just see what it brings me. And here you can see me using a brush, and the brush also is very, very nice to blend in the pigments into the paper, but also to create that soft feel. Now that I have Santa kind of like how I want him to be, how I would imagine him to be, now then it is time for the sledge that is, kind kind of flowing through the air. And I wanted the sledge to come from behind his head and then steering into the sky. And of course, his vehicle is pulled forward by the reindeer. And all I have to do is draw in the silhouettes. So not much detail at all. I'll simply draw in some reins and where the reindeer are attached to, and the vague silhouette of the sledge itself. And I'm using a very, very dark gray for this. So this is Santa all the way up front. And then here I'm just imagining, I'm just making this up, is that the sledge is being pulled forward with the reindeer. Now for the reindeer, I didn't want them to be all the same. So I wanted to draw reindeer that are kind of jumping up and jumping and pulling at the same time. So then again, of course, you can watch Google Images and look up all kinds of reindeer that are jumping around in the wild. And then you can use that to create all kinds of poses in which the reindeer are positioned. And of course, a reindeer is, they are very fast animals, and they have those beautiful antlers. So it's quite easy to create a reindeer silhouette. Now, I don't know exactly how many reindeer there are. I think 7. But first I need to create a little bit more background. So there's the frozen fog that is coming from our forest. And they are creating little clouds and a little bit of a shine of the moon maybe. Just however you want it to be. And once you have drawn that in, you can continue adding more reindeer, as many as you want. But I just wanted to make sure that they all are moving in a different way. So for instance, the second one is jumping downwards a little bit, like the first one is jumping upwards a little bit, then the second one is jumping downwards a little bit. And they're also I also draw them in getting smaller and smaller and smaller, so I get some kind of a perspective going on. What is also a very nice detail is to draw in the shine of the moon partially on your drawn in silhouettes. This will give them a little bit of shine. Then it is time to create a forest. And of course we've already drawn in a little bit with the pastel, a little bit of clouds. You can also use simple pastel bar and a pastel knife. And in that way you can start creating a very cold and a very snowy, misty landscape. So I'm imagining that there are pine trees in there, and Santa is moving from the North Pole towards the habited part of the Earth. And this part, that third part of my drawing, those are those trees. And you can just have a blast there. You can just go whatever you want, as long as it's all a little bit foggy and a little bit blurry. It's all fine. Just go with the feel. Draw in a few branches, draw in a little bit of color, maybe a little bit of purple and a light pink, dark pink, whatever you want. Well, and then it's time for the final stage. And of course, there should be stars in there and magical twinkles in the sky, created by Santa and his reindeer, that are flowing through the sky and bringing you, hopefully, a lot of art materials under the Christmas tree. So, that is what I wish for you. A lot of art gifts and art material under your Christmas tree. So, I hope you enjoyed this Christmas special and that it will bring you a lot of inspiration. And well, of course, I hope to see you again next Friday. And maybe you want to support me on my Patreon page. That would be awesome. Thank you for watching. See you next Friday.